Hello guys, and welcome back to 2013. Yes, this is a 2013 Nissan 370Z and I'm going to take it for a spin today. And the reason for that is this car is for sale, currently listed on Sentimental. So head over to sentimental.shop and you'll find the classifieds listing for this car. It's priced at just under 340,000 Rand, and this car's got only 74,000 kilometers on it. So it should feel relatively new. It's also got a few sort of driver focused tweaks to it, which I'm hoping to test. And at the end of the video, then hopefully I can give you some information that might help you make a decision whether this is the modern classic for you. And anyway, it's been a long time since I've driven a Nissan 370Z, and the last time was pretty enjoyable, and I'd like to have another go. Cool, let's go. Okay, so first a little bit of history on the 370Z. It was originally launched in 2009 and had a very long production run up until 2020. And of course we're now looking forward to the launch of the 400Z. So the 370Z, this car followed on from the 350Z, which was of course a very successful car and really favored by, well, firstly driving enthusiasts, and secondly guys who like to tweak their cars a bit, because yeah, these are tough cars. They can take a little bit of tuning, and the 370Z really was just a 350Z recipe, just dialed up a little bit. So lighter, it's got a shorter wheelbase and it's wider. It's got you know, strut reinforcement in the front and the back, so to give it more rigidity. And then of course the bigger engine, the 3.7 liter V6 engine with 245 kilowatts and 363 newton meters of torque. Now this car is a manual, and of course rear wheel drive, and so I think something quite appealing, I think, from a modern classic point of view for a driving enthusiast. What's even better, I think, with this specific car is the previous owner was a driving enthusiast himself, but he was also not somebody to mess with the inherent characteristics of a car. So the, let's say, the tweaks that he made were all very tasteful and considered. So it's got a brake upgrade, it's got a stage 1 clutch, and it's been decatted, so it's had a nice little power bump. Exactly how much I'm not sure, but we're going to find that out hopefully on this drive, you know, whether it feels stronger than before. Though I must say, it's been a long time since I've driven a 370Z, and you know what? This car feels new. I'll show you the service book a little bit later, because yeah, it's quite rare to see a car with such a meticulously documented service history as this one. So as I'm driving here, it's just ticked over 74,000 kilometers. This is a 2013 model. It feels rock solid, basically brand new. The other thing that you have to remember with the manual 370Z is that you've got that rev matching sport mode for the gearbox, which basically gives you sort of automated throttle blips. Now I've just returned from the new 992 generation Porsche 911 GT3 launch, and that car features the same thing. And I mean, this is a 2013 car and it already had that, and I just switched it on a little while back just to give it a test, and yeah, it really gives you a little bit of a smile. So that in a nutshell, from a drivetrain and mechanical point of view, is the 370Z. But then there's also the other side of the car, which I think is quite surprising, because I've always kind of, I guess, pigeonholed the 370Z as a as a pretty hardcore, hard-edged car, but this one, I mean, it's got loads of features. Electric seat adjustment, it's got seat heaters, it's got a Bose sound system, yeah, CD player obviously, in a very sort of 2013 era from the Infinity, I think, infotainment system, which also looks very comprehensive. If there's one thing that I think just point out, maybe, which will be a problem for very tall drivers, is that the steering column only adjusts for rake, not for reach. So you might end up in a position where your legs are stretched out and you sort of struggling to find a comfortable grip on the steering wheel. But that's a minor thing. And the other quirk of this car, of course, is that the steering column, when you adjust it, the instrumentation cluster goes up and down with it, which is actually quite cool. But yeah, I mean, first, let's say 5-kilometer drive, it feels like a new car. Actually, just been playing around a little bit with the seat adjustment. Discovered that there are 2 rotary dials here on the right, and you can adjust the base of the seat, the angle of it. It really does make a big difference to your driving position and the comfort. Yeah, I mean, I'm 1.8 meters, and this is not at its lowest setting. We've got electric backrest adjustment, electric fore and aft. So maybe the steering column not being adjustable is not, for reach anyway, is not such a big thing, because yeah, I'm actually pretty comfortable. And also, just while we're on the topic of sort of looking around the cabin, you know, for a car with 74,000 Ks on it, I mean, it's not a high mileage car by any means, but it is basically almost a 9-year-old car. There is very little sign of wear and use in this car. The only thing that I can find is that the driver's seat bolster on the right here, when you enter, obviously it does get some scuffing on it occasionally, and you can see a little bit of that there, but I mean, it's not torn or anything, it's just scuffed, and that's it. Otherwise, I can see absolutely no sign. Yeah, no, it's rock solid, not a scratch or tear or yeah, beautifully built, or beautifully kept maybe. It's got a nice throaty sound. Nice. Looking forward to this drive. So I've been cruising around sort of in morning Cape Town traffic to my preferred driving route, and yeah, I can't remember the car being this sort of easy to drive and civilized. I remember back in the day when we tested it, we thought that compared with its rivals from the era, the Porsche Caymans and so on, that it was actually quite a macho machine. But yeah, I don't know, maybe just because I've been spending time in a pretty hardcore 911 GT3 the past few days, that I mean, the clutch takes easily, the gearbox is nice and clean in its shift action, the aircon works beautifully, the engine purrs like it's new. I've got navigation, I've got a great sound system that even has a USB port for 2013. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, there's really, it's got seat heaters. It is a chilly day in Cape Town, but I'm not going to use them. Oh, let's see if the sound system works. Yeah? That was going to be a crap song anyway. Yeah, it all works. The other thing about the 370Z, you've got a lot of information going on. So the ref counter actually sits in the middle in front of you, and it's also got a gear selector indicator, selected gear indicator. The speedometer sits on the right, and then on the left is a your fuel gauge and your temperature readout, and it's also got a little digital display that can show you, for example, your remaining range. And I do expect this car to be quite thirsty. Just switch the radio back on. And then you've got 3 extra gauges sort of on the top of the dashboard, which shows you your oil temperature, your battery voltage, and a clock. Yeah, so there's a lot to look at, a lot of information. It sort of reminds you a little bit of a Porsche, I guess, which tend to have lots of dials. If you do hear a rattle, I suspect that it is my tripod rattling in the passenger footwell. But we'll see later if it's actually something on the car. But yeah, easy, pleasant car to drive even in traffic. I happily do this every day. Right, so we've arrived at one of my favorite pieces of road, and I've selected S mode for the transmission, so that'll give me that little throttle blip, a little bit of theater. Let's find out. Oh, you hear that? That's lovely. Oh, you can just steering is a bit lighter than what I thought it would be. So back in the day, Nissan claimed a 0 to 100 time of 4.7 seconds for this car. I mean, that's still fast today. And a top speed of 250. But once you're like in third gear, third is like it's do anything gear. It's just beautifully responsive. Nicely stable under braking as well. The gear shift still feels so strong. I mean, it's a 9-year-old car, but so precise. Maybe we just had a bad test car back in the day, because I remember it being quite a crunchy gear shift, and this feels much slicker. It's got a nice bit of rear bias out of the corners. Just enough to make you aware that, you know, this is a rear-wheel drive car, so you have to keep your wits about you. I'm obviously not stability control off, but I do remember that even with the stability control on, that this car does allow for quite a lot of slip to happen before it sort of intervenes. Yeah, that was great fun. Yeah, it really handles these tight twisties so nicely, so pointy. Hear those throttle blips. Ah, nice little extra touch of character. I must say, compared with modern turbocharged cars, you do feel that, you know, you don't quite have that power even in second gear out of a tight twist. It's an engine that likes to be wound up a little bit. Oh, these tripods rolling around is irritating. It's a very bumpy section of road here. It just handles it beautifully. Yeah, well, that's nice. Very nice. Like that a lot. As you have probably realized by now, I thoroughly enjoyed getting reacquainted with the Nissan 370Z. It remains a thrilling driver-focused machine and seems to be pretty robust too. This particular car is a bit of a unicorn. Finding a manual unmolested 370Z at this price is pretty difficult, and though I'm not generally a fan of aftermarket modifications, the tweaks done to this car are tasteful and fitting of its overall character. For the money, it represents a great modern day classic that's also fun to drive hard. So I just wanted to show you guys, you often read about full service history and full service books and documented history and all that kind of thing, but this is this 370Z's service and warranty book. And I mean, there's your 15,000, 30,000, 45,000, 60,000, and although this car's only got 74,000 Ks on it, it's already had its 75,000 K service and it's stamped and everything. Yeah, full books, not too much to worry about. Okay, so that's the Nissan 370Z that's currently for sale at Road and Race, 2013 model. Expect to see a lot more of these kind of driving of the classifieds kind of videos. I think, you know, back in the day, even 2013, which is not that long ago, not a lot of videos were made on cars in South Africa, and so it's I think pretty cool to get some video content out there on these modern classics, and I'll do even older cars, obviously. But then also you might sit in Johannesburg and you might just want to see a specific thing on a car that's for sale in Cape Town, and or you might just want to hear an opinion on it or see it in motion, and before you fly down to come and have a serious look. And hopefully these videos will help you in that kind of buying process. So let me know what you would like to see in these videos going forward, what kind of detail I should go into. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Appreciate the support. Thanks so much. Bye.